gosh, y'all. And yes, I do say y'all, and I'm a Jersey girl, but I've been in Florida for over 20 years, so deal with it. But I wanted to do a walk with me, to record and to share a thought with you all. And oh my gosh, did my walk end up be interesting on its own? We got to the end of our block. I had two separate neighbors that ended up chatting it up with me, so I had to stop recording. Then, out the blue, there was a dog that was just like homeward bound, like running free. And out of nowhere, I see two men rushing, shouting. One is still trying to put on his flip flops, which to me, you're already barefooted out the house. What's the big deal about managing to put on your flip flops? So for me, I just stood still. I told my kids, listen, it's not that we're afraid of the dog. We're definitely going to be mindful and cautious, but let's stay still because we definitely don't want this dog to be following us all the way down the side street. Tell me how this dog was not listening to the owners. This dog could care less. This dog was basically in the mentality, I do not care. I am going to go for a walk, and I'm going to go for a walk now. If that means I got to achieve it myself, so be it. But when I noticed that this dog was not listening to the owners, I called the dog over, and I didn't shout. I simply just called the dog over, kind of gave smoochy kisses. And the dog, when I tell you, this dog rushed across the street and came to me. I was able to hold the collar until the owner rushed over and was able to take over. And the owner he was shocked. He said, wow, like not only were you calm, like you did not have a panic attitude to see a dog, just a dog out free that you're not comfortable or familiar with. But he said that, wow, he's like, I'm just shocked that my dog went and ran to you. And he just left me off with such a sweet compliment. And he is a new neighbor, so I was able to also meet a new neighbor, which was really nice. And they're actually putting a new front door on. So that is how the dog escaped. They actually have 4 dogs, including that dog. And I grew up with a lot of pets. We basically had a house that was called the zoo of the neighborhood because we had 2 dogs, we had a cat. We basically had everything and anything from rabbits to fish to frogs. You name it, and we probably had it in that house. But, not only did I have experience with animals and pets, but I also feel, it's important to have a certain approach when it comes to animals. You definitely have to show them that you are not a threat to them. So I had that approach. So even though I didn't know this particular dog, I addressed this pet, this family member, this fur baby of someone's. I respected it just like I would respect a human being. So that's just the way I am. But the compliment this neighbor had told me was that I must be such a kind, beautiful soul because dogs are a good judge of character. And he said that his dog not only coming to me, but comfortably staying with me, he said that it must show him what a great neighbor he has. So we were able to kind of exchange our house information. That way we, knew of each other in the neighborhood. So it was nice because I was able to meet that new neighbor as well as now consider him an acquaintance. So the discussion that I was going to have with you all that I spoke to about with my children, and part of our homeschooling and why I love and I feel so blessed to be able to homeschool my kids is because we have a lot of time where I can teach them life skills. Also they see me doing everything in the house, so they are also obtaining life skills in that way as well. But I also like them to have just critical thinking when it comes to life skills. So the discussion we had was regarding fixed as well as growth mindset. When I had this discussion with them, I literally took a very long pause because it basically made me think of my journey, my weight loss journey. I very much in the beginning, I had a growth mindset. I basically came across the ketogenic way of eating because our oldest child, who is now 14, he started getting seizures. And that is the whole reason why we started the ketogenic way of eating. It ended up helping him to the point where now, 4 years later, he has not had any seizures at all. We went through some scary times where we were having to call 911 at the same time that I was on top of him. At 10 years old, I had to get on top of him and try to just kind of just open his mouth, and his jaw was clamped down, and I had to pry his mouth open because he probably would have lost his tongue the way he was biting down. So I'm going to spare you guys any more details about that because it was something very traumatic, but that is what we had experienced. And after going through testing with different pediatric neurologists, going through his pediatrician, there was no help from anyone in the medical world. No medical professional was able to help us. Discovering keto actually helped for epilepsy in the 1920s, that it helped for seizures. I said to myself, you know what? We're going to give it a try, because not only did my child need to benefit from this, I was overweight. My husband was overweight. And our youngest child at the time, he was just about to be 2 years old. So he was just getting to the point of eating finger food. So we didn't have anything to lose at that point. So we went ahead and did keto as a family. I know it's difficult for some, for some, they're not able to have their families get on board. But for us, it was for our child. And what kind of example would we be setting if we isolated him to the ketogenic way of eating, and for us to not establish to it as well? How can we tell him, oh, well, it's good for you, but what? It's not good enough for us that we're also not doing it? So we definitely had to adapt to it as a family. So in that very beginning, I definitely had a growth mindset. So with that growth mindset, I was spending so much time prior to us starting January 5th of 2019. I did months of research. So there was about 3 months of research before we even got started on January 5th of 2019. I basically found all these kid-friendly food ideas when it came to keto approved whole foods. I constantly had growth in the beginning. And that is most definitely what had led me personally to achieving 101-pound weight loss in just 15 months doing the ketogenic way of eating. But then again, I still yet ended up having a fixed mindset that ended up growing on me. So when I say that I had a fixed mindset, I allowed the depression that I got into, that caused me to gain 42 pounds of that 101 pounds back. I allowed that depression and the rapid weight gain, it caused me to have a fixed mindset because I started using other tools as a form of punishment. And not only a form of punishment, but I was having the wrong mentality going into those different tools. So one of them was intermittent fasting. So I started to do 1 meal a day. I started doing OMAD. I did that for 3 months. So I did not just give it like a week or 2 weeks. No, I committed 90 days to it. I did not have any luck with it. Then my next decision was, you know what? Let me do alternate day fasting. So I did ADF, and I continued to put even more stress on my body and punish myself even more by just eating just every other day and fasting all those other days. And I still was having this fixed mindset of having the same mentality that we have of rapid weight loss methods, of punishing ourselves because we are not losing fast enough, or now we gained weight and we're not, doing enough in terms of how we're eating or how we're fasting. So those all really caused me to have a really unhealthy fixed mindset. So I was basically expecting results without embracing the proper effort. So I was expecting these big, lavish, rapid weight loss results from intermittent fasting without the proper effort. I was having this fixed mindset effort. I was not going to prosper with that. If anything, it was sabotaging me because I was doing it in a manner that now I understand, because now I've been able to get on this mentality of a growth mindset, that I realize now that what I was putting my body through, I was truly putting my body through fad diet mentality with that fixed mindset. And it was simply just causing my body to store the fat. My body was under the impression, oh my gosh, we are in starvation mode and we need to keep on to every little bit of fat that we have. And any additional fat that she eats, we're going to keep that too. So that is the main reason why I ended up gaining that 42 pounds. And you don't realize until you get to the point where you're able to allow yourself to have that growth mindset again, to evaluate your situation, to actually learn from what you're going through, and not to make any hasty or quick actions. Like, you really have to think hard about what you went through, because it is not a matter of diet mentality. It is not the matter of having quick weight loss results. We need to make sure that whatever path we are choosing, that it was being done with a growth mindset. So I was able to go through adapting to having a growth mindset again. So when I ended up seeing all this discussion about triple B and E, I did not want to start, because I told myself, why am I going to do a challenge? All these groups are doing challenges, and I don't want to do it just because everyone else is. And don't get me wrong, it's amazing to have the support. It's a beautiful thing to be able to have so many people to connect with, that they are doing the same thing as you. But for me, I could not do that again. I did it with intermittent fasting, and I could not go down that rabbit hole for myself. So for me, that is just my opinion. I am not bashing anyone when it comes to, different groups setting up these challenges for everyone to join along with them. That is all what it's about, to be part of a wonderful community. So I applaud all these different groups doing these challenges. I could not for myself. I was already coming from a very unhealthy fixed mindset, and I had to look into this for myself. So thankfully, having the growth mindset to do triple B and E for 30 days, because I needed an elimination, not only because I started having urgencies going to the bathroom, part of my ketogenic way of eating, I had pain I was going through, and I had a very unhealthy mental depression and anxiety that I was also coming from as well. So for me, it definitely had to be something that I was doing very unique to fitting my needs. So that is why I did it for 30 days. Not only did I do it for 30 days, but I continued on for a complete 60 days. And because I made it something that I was doing for me and not following along with anyone else, that is why I was able to continue the full 60 days. Because I could tell you right now, if I was following a group or following anyone else and simply doing it because they were also doing it, I probably would have stopped at the 30 days. I would have said, you know what, this 30 days is enough for me. Everyone else is only doing it for 30 days. And they're just basically going back to whatever way of eating they were doing previously before, whether that be keto, ketovore, they were just going back to what their norm was. So for me, I definitely had to do things a lot more differently, and I had to basically do things according to my own plans. I just wanted to share that discussion with you all, just kind of going through just homeschooling with my children. I learned so much as well too. So homeschooling them is not just really a benefit for them, but it has been such a huge blessing for me as well, because I also learned so much based off of what I'm teaching them, because it just refreshes so much knowledge that I need to keep consistent in my everyday life as well. So I hope this chat helps one of you out there and allows you to kind of choose your path, whether it is a new path or whether you need to come to the realization that you are just fixed on whatever journey you originally chose for yourself. And if it's no longer working, if it is no longer allowing you to achieve whatever better health goals you have set for yourself, know that it is okay to make changes. Do not feel like you have to follow the crowd. Allow yourselves to grow, allow yourselves to have that growth mindset. Just like when you first started off your journey, all that excitement that you had at the beginning of your journey, when you basically cleared out your pantry, your fridge, your freezer, and you were just so excited to get started on achieving your better health goals. If you are not having results any longer, if it is not working out for you, whichever way of eating it might be that you're currently doing, get that growth mindset going again, my friend. Well, I want to appreciate you all for coming and enjoying this little bit of a chat with me. I appreciate you all. Take care, friends.